Hello everyone and welcome to Azam Sharp Weekly. And in this video, I'm going to show you that how you can create an app which is capable of searching nearby places for you. And we will not really be using the MVVM design pattern. We will use some sort of a view model to accommodate the place mark or the MK place mark object. But for every single screen, we will not be creating a particular view model. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we will be building. You can see the app right now. The top part is the search and the bottom part is the current map. I can go ahead and search for something over here like coffee. And when I press enter, it will populate the top part with the list and the bottom part with the actual map and all these hearts or annotations are being displayed, which are representing each item from the list. Now I can go ahead and select each item, and whenever I select any item, you can see the map over there, it's refreshing, meaning the map is kind of focusing on the selected item. All right, so that is exactly what we will be building. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I need to do in our Maps application is to find the location of the user, because we will be finding the burgers, coffee places, gas station, or whatever the person is searching for near their area. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new group. I will simply call it services. And in my group, I can either add it over here or I can even create a brand new folder like a managers. And I can go ahead and add my location manager. So this will be responsible for finding the actual location of a particular user, which is you in this case. So your location. All right. Let me go ahead and import core location on the top, and we will go ahead and start creating our location manager. Location manager will be inheriting from the NS object because later we will be conforming to the CL location manager delegate, and also the location manager will be an observable object. So whenever it finds a location, it's going to set some sort of a property so that we can get that particular location and give it to someone else. All right. Let location manager equals to CL location manager. Now CL location manager is the core location manager, and that is the actual location manager that is going to give you the location. We will go ahead and implement the initialization super.init because we are inheriting from NS object. And now we can go ahead and set a couple of different things for the location manager. This includes desired accuracy. We want the best accuracy. Filter, meaning there is no filter, so it's not like you're not going to get the location if you are 200 feet or 200 meters or anything like that. Location manager, the one that we have created, this one becomes the delegate, and you can see it's kind of erroring it out right now. It's not happy because the location manager that we have created is still not conforming to the CL location manager delegate. We will do that a little bit later. I can comment this out for now. And now we have the request always authorization or request a location. Now request location is just going to give you the location once. So it's not really going to fire the update location every single time. All right. Let's go ahead and override this because we are actually inheriting from NS object. Now there are a couple of different things we need to do. All right. The first thing, in order to get the location, our location manager, it must be conforming to CL location manager delegate. The CL location manager delegate consists of all these delegate events or functions that will actually give you the location. So let me go ahead and perform an extension on location manager. You don't really have to do an extension. You can just write your code right over here somewhere. But I like to create these small extensions so that the main class is kind of like only initialization stuff, and then all the delegates are just handled somewhere else. So you can see over here, I can go ahead and use the CL location manager delegate. Now, if I try to build this, well, and make sure that now your location manager is also the delegate. So now it should be happy, hopefully. Right, there we go. Okay. So there are a couple of different things we need to check. First of all, we need to check for the authorization. So in the delegate function, one of them is location manager did change authorization. And this is going to get fired whenever the person, the user, authorizes to use their location or deny their location, or their location is not activated, and all those things. So I'm just going to go ahead and fire a function called check authorization in this case. We don't really have any function called check authorization, so we need to create that as a private function. It shouldn't be exposed to the outside world, so we will simply go ahead and say authorization. Okay, now we can perform a switch on the location manager dot authorization status. And in the authorization status, we will be able to find out that if the user has accepted the authorization, if it has rejected it, and all those different cases. So the first one will be not determined, meaning, well, something bad has happened and we can't really do much about it. All right. So if you have not undetermined, so we can simply say request when in use authorization. So we're going to kind of like have to request it again. If this is restricted, then, well, you have probably restricted, or your location is restricted. So we're just going to go ahead and print that message. Okay. Other cases have denied. You have explicitly denied the app to handle your or to find your location. So in that case, well, you have denied. We can't really do much about it. In the case of if you have authorization always or the authorization when in use, that means that you're good to go. All right, so what we can do is we can get the location in this case. Right? Now, if there are some new cases, in those cases, we will simply break it out. Okay, so that's already looking pretty good. All right. Now, apart from location manager did authorization, you should also implement the did fail with error, and this particular delegate function of the CL location manager delegate will be fired whenever there is some problem or some error. So we're just going to go ahead and print out the error. Hopefully we will never get to that point, but if we do get an error, it will display it on the console. Now, when we actually do find the location, which is right over here, we want to calculate the region. All right. And one of the properties that we have to create in our location manager is the region property, meaning that we are just creating a small region, and in that region you're going to find the burger places or coffee places and things like that. And region will be of type MK coordinate region. Now you can already see it's complaining because MK coordinate region might exist. We will need to import Mapkit. But MK coordinate region does not really have anything called default region. So let's go ahead and create some extension so we can have those default regions. So I'm just going to go ahead and create an extensions folder. And we're going to simply extend the MK coordinate region and going to provide an extension. This extension is simply going to provide you with some sort of a default region, and that's it. So if we have not found any region because the map is working or the location manager is trying to do its job, then we are going to give you a default location, which in this case will be the Apple campus, but obviously you can put anything you want over here. Okay, great. Now let's go back to our location manager and scroll down. And when you actually find the location, then we will be able to get the location. Meaning if the authorization is good, then we can ask the location manager for the location. We will unwrap it. And in that case, if there is a problem, we will simply return. All right, so this will be guard let, so we're going to use the else also over here. Next, we will set the region, all right, based on the location coordinates. So we can simply go ahead and center it, as well as passing in the delta. Great. And this will be our location manager. Let's go to the content view. In the content view, we can already see that we don't really have any kind of a interface. There's not really much going on. We need a place so the user can go ahead and, well, type something. All right. We also need a map. So a couple of different things we already need. So let's go and use the VStack. But in the VStack, we're going to start with creating a text field. We will say search, and the text will actually go in a field called search. We don't really have a field called search, so I'm just going to go ahead and create the field. There we go. We can go ahead and make it a particular style. And let's go ahead and resume this one. There we go. We can see the search field. When you actually perform on submit, meaning you press enter, this is where we will search the nearby places. When you actually press enter or press the return key on your text field. We can also add a little bit of padding. There we go. Okay. So this already looks pretty good. We can actually push everything kind of up by saying a spacer. And we can also start adding our views, meaning what do we want to display? Well, we want to display a list. All right, so 1 till 20. This is just a placeholder. We will replace it with something else. So right now, let's just say landmarks will be displayed here. So all the different landmarks that we're finding, or the places that we're finding, it will be displayed right over there. All right. The other thing is the map. So let's go ahead and use the map. Now, in order to use the map control, which is part of the SwiftUI, we need to import the Mapkit, because the map control lives in the Mapkit. And you can see that this particular map view control that we have, it does allows you to do a couple of different things. Like we can add annotations, we can add coordinate regions and all those kind of things. So what about the coordinate region? Where would it be focused on? So this is where we will have to provide some sort of a coordinate region. Now, currently we don't really have a coordinate region, which is also a bindable thing. So we can't really display at this particular time. All right, we might be able to display the list, but not the map at this particular time. All right, let's go ahead and build it. Okay, so map will eventually come back to that. So this top portion will be the list, and this top portion, there's a bottom portion. This is where we will eventually display the map. Now, there are a couple of other things that you need to do. Although we went to the location manager and we set up all of these different things like request authorization, request location, but we still have to go to our actual app target, and in the info.plist file, we need to add a couple of different keys, which will be the privacy keys. If you don't add that, then the user will never get a prompt of that if they want to share their location or not. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a key, which is called the privacy location when in usage description. And over here in the description, you can actually type anything. So be as descriptive as you want, but also make sure that you're not like writing paragraphs after paragraphs over here. Just enough information that why do you want to request the location. Apart from that, we are also going to add another one. Let's go ahead and add another key, which is always and when in use description. So these two keys are required. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy paste it, but you can come up with a much better message than this one. Great. Okay, so the location manager is done. We need to find out that who will be responsible for performing the local search. The location manager is responsible for giving you the location, which it is kind of doing, but who will be responsible for actually performing the search? So for that purpose, I'm going to go ahead and create the local search service. So local search service. The local search service will be responsible for providing you with the landmarks that you're searching for. So I'm going to go ahead and import Mapkit. I'm also going to go ahead and import Combine. And now I can create a local search service, which is going to be observable. All right. And we're going to do a couple of different things. We are going to go ahead and, first of all, get some sort of a default region, which will be a published property. All right. Now, this default region will be set from the location manager. So we can, if you want, we can even use the location manager to get that particular default region. All right. So once we initialize this, we will also initialize a location manager. And we can set the location manager dot region. So when you find a region, you can go ahead and assign it to our own region property. So to the region property on self, which in this case is a local search service. And then go ahead and store it in cancellables, the publisher. We don't have anything called cancellables. That is a part of the combine thing. So we're just going to go ahead and make it. Okay. So this means that whenever the location manager is going to find a region, it is going to simply assign it to the region over here, which is a published property. And that's the important part that we're doing over here. Now let's go ahead and do the search function. Function search query, whatever that you're trying to search. Inside the search function, we will be able to search using the mklocal search. So let's go ahead and create mklocal search. We will pass in the query. So this can be query that simply means the landmark that you're searching for. And we are also going to set the region because we only want to search in a particular region, which is, let's say, 200 meters from your location or 100 meters or 2 miles or something like that. Okay. So if we search, which is we can do by creating a search request over here, and this is mk local search, passing in the request. And now we can say search.start. It's going to give us some sort of a response or error. If there is a response, then we can go ahead and extract it. Response will have something called a map items, which is mk map item. So we can get the map items. But if you look at the map items, if I simply go ahead and look at it, it contains a lot of stuff. Now, I don't really need all of this heavy map item. So in those cases, I can go ahead and create a custom model to represent the map item. And you can say that that kind of a model is also a view model, because that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm creating some sort of a lighter, more leaner, more flatter model so I can put the stuff that I only want, and that stuff will be displayed on the screen. All right, so I'm just going to go into over here. I'm going to create model folder and going to create my landmark model, which is, you will see that it's much of a leaner, flatter model, which can be easily be used on the view. So what will that particular model contain? Well, it will have a couple of different properties that I need for the view. like the place mark, UUID, just so that we can iterate through it, name, title, and coordinate. Now let's go back. And if we go back and we're going along all of these map items, we can simply say map items. So we can iterate through them and create a landmark object and pass in the place mark. All right. And we can go ahead and say self.landmarks. Well, we don't really have landmarks yet, so let's go ahead and probably create that. There we go. So now we have created our local search service that is hopefully going to publish the landmarks. Now we can go back and jump into our content view and start using it. So in the content view, the first thing we are going to do is create an instance of the local search service. Now you can put your local search service anywhere you want. I usually try to put it, because I want to use it different places, I can put it in the environment variable. So let me go ahead and inject it into the environment as a local search service. Okay, you can see that it's giving some issues. Not sure why it is crashing at this point. There we go. All right. Now, next thing, we will access it from the environment variable. So right over here, we can access that. Once we have accessed that, I'm not sure why it keeps on crashing, but once we access that, we should be able to perform the search. So right over here, we can probably call local search dot search, passing in the query, which is also the search, which is coming from the text box. So this value is passed right there. Okay, it is going to return something, and that something is we can display over here. Local search service dot landmarks. If we are displaying all of these landmarks. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, ID is fine. I don't think we will be needing an ID because landmarks are identifiable. We are going to get a landmark over here. And the final thing is, can we display a landmark or like the name of the landmark or something about the landmark? All right. I'm not sure why it's crashing, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and going to inject the environment object, and I will inject the local search service as the environment object. Let's go ahead and run this. Okay, so a couple of things. It's actually crashing. Delegate must respond to did update locations. So that is the thing that it is crashing on. It's saying that the location manager is not doing anything for when you're updating the location. So that is also a required function that we forgot to implement. So let's go back to the location manager right there. You can see that we don't have any function called did update locations. So did update locations, that's a mandatory function that you must implement. For that, we're first going to get the location. Okay. Once we get the location, we can simply set the region. So this function will be fired once, and then it will be fired whenever you're trying to request a location. Let's go ahead and run it again. Okay, now when you run it, it actually shows you this modal, this alert, which is saying that, hey, allow once, allow while using the app, or don't allow. I'm just going to say allow while using the app. And now let's go ahead and search for something. So if I go ahead and say burgers, you can see that I get all of these burgers. Now all of these burgers are related to the location, which is the location of which we have already set to be the Apple campus. All right. Now you can set your own location if you want to. You can go to features for the simulator location. You can set the freeway drive. That's what we are doing right now. We're just driving on the freeway. You can set the Apple location, city run or a custom location, which can be your house. So if you set custom location, you can set your own latitude and longitude, which can be your point of interest, your basically current location, which can be your house, your home, or your office, wherever you want. Okay. So this looks pretty good. We can definitely display list of all of these different things. Let's go ahead and search for something else. So let's go ahead and say coffee. And now you can see all the different coffee stores. So this is already looking nice. All right. Now it would be good that if the bottom part is also showing a map. That's what we wanted to do. So let's go ahead and see how we can show the map. All right. We will go back to our content view, and we were already using a map, but it wasn't really doing anything. So now we can actually pass in the map, and we can pass in the coordinate region, which can come from a local search service dot region. Show user location, we can pass in true. And we may also need to create some sort of a annotation landmarks, right? So annotation, let's go ahead and annotation items. And this will be a local search service dot landmarks. We will get an array of landmarks, and now it becomes our responsibility to create or show you something. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a map annotation, passing in the coordinate, which can be a landmark, well, the one that we actually pass in, not marks, but mark, there we go. So landmark dot coordinate, and what do you want to display? I'm just going to go ahead and say annotation over here, or store, or just landmark, I guess. That will be easier, right? All right, now let's go ahead and run this. Okay, so we can definitely see the map. It's not really zoomed in or anything, but we can definitely see the map, and you can a little bit see that the person who is driving is actually moving, so that's good. You can just point it at a stationary address also, and you can see that we are able to display these landmarks. One is over here, one is a little bit over here, I guess, one is right there. We can change our landmark. If you don't like to display text, we can display something completely different. So we can, in that case, display a image, and we can call it heart.fill. All right, and foreground color, we can just go ahead and say red for now. All right, let's go ahead and run it, and let's search for burgers. And there we go. We have a lot of burger stores, I guess, near San Francisco or near the current location. So this is displaying all of these burger joints or burger shops. Okay, pretty cool. Another thing that we can do is this list is currently displayed in the content view. And this can be a good candidate to become its own view. So what I'm going to do is move this into a separate file. So I'm just going to go ahead and say views. All right. And we're going to go ahead and say new view. We can call it landmark list view. And the whole point of landmark list view is to simply display, well, the landmarks, which we were already doing. Okay. Now, where would it get the landmarks? You can pass the landmarks to the landmark list view, but another feature we also need to implement is that you can select a landmark. So instead of passing it, I'm just going to get it from the environment object. And if I'm doing that, I should probably pass the environment object over here as a local search service, or else it's going to complain. Okay. Next, we can go ahead and create our list. Let's see if it actually displays the text view that is currently displaying. Okay. And now we can go ahead and display a VStack. We will obviously go ahead and go through the local search service.landmarks, and we will get, so kind of like the same code that we did previously, but this time we can create a little bit more stuff to it, meaning we can display the name of the landmark, the title of the landmark, and things like that. Okay. Now, currently, we may not be able to see anything because we don't really have any landmarks at this point. We have to run it. Okay. So this looks fine. Let's go back now and see if we can use this landmark list view instead of the list over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and say landmark list view. Okay, so a little bit of a gap over here. And we can go ahead and try to run this. Let's go ahead and search for coffee. Okay, so it can definitely display some stuff, a little bit of a styling or something that we can definitely do. We will have to go back to our landmark list view and perform this VStack alignment to be leading. Now we can go ahead and run it again. And let's go ahead and search for coffee. Okay, looks much nicer, definitely much nicer, right? Okay, so what else do we want to do? Well, one of the good features that we really want to implement is that ability for you to select a particular landmark. So from the list, we should be able to select a landmark. So how can we do that? How can we select a particular landmark? So this can be an interesting question to solve, that how exactly can we select a particular landmark. Currently, if we go to the implementation of local search service, it does have a capability of displaying you all the landmarks. It does provide you all the landmarks, but it doesn't really allow you to select a one particular landmark. So we will go over there and we will add another property, which will be landmark. And this is just a single landmark, but sometime it will be null. So we're just going to make it optional. Now let's go back to the landmark list view. And in the landmark list view, we need to make sure that you can tap on a particular VStack, so anywhere on the row, and we will make sure that the landmark is selected. So on tap gesture, we will set the local search service.landmark, and we will just simply set it to landmark. Okay. Now, apart from the landmark, we also would like to update the region. And the reason that we are updating the region is because we want the map to focus on the selected region. But we will do that a little bit later. We do need a couple of different things right now. One of those things is that some sort of an indication that the landmark is actually selected. So we will simply go list row background, and we will say if the landmark service.landmark is equals to the landmark, in that case, we will return you a color, which is a UI color.light gray. So this will be the selected choice, else we will simply return you the white color. So this is going to give you an indication that a particular landmark has been selected in the list control. Let's go ahead and see if that works. So I'm going to select this one, and you can see that my selection is now looking good. You can obviously use any color that you want. I'm just going to go with this basic gray color. So now what we want to do is whenever you select a particular landmark, we want to update our map to kind of like zoom into that particular landmark. Okay, so how can we do that? Well, we can simply go ahead and say local search service.region equals to mk coordinate region dot, and somehow we can create a region from a landmark. Okay, so we're going to pass in the landmark to get the region. We don't really have that function yet, the region from landmark. So let's go ahead and create that. So we're going to go jump into the mk coordinate region extension that we created, and we're just going to use a function over here, region from landmark, which uses the landmark coordinate to create a region. Pretty simple, straightforward. Since the region over here is marked with published, it might be a good idea to use it in a animation, because or else if you don't, your map will be updated kind of like very, very fast. All right. Okay. And let's go ahead and import Mapkit. So to give a little bit of a nice animation, I'm just going to go ahead and wrap this with animation. And we will get some sort of a default animation. Okay. Okay, so we're updating the region, which is great. Let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. Let's search for coffee. I'm going to select this one, and it's going to highlight it, but it's also going to set that region. And there we go. You can see that as soon as you select it, the region is changed. And since that region was also passed and utilized by the map view, we are able to update the map. If you go back to your content view, you can see that the same region is being passed to the map right there. And that is how the map is being reloaded. Now, it would be a good idea to create some sort of a nice effect to indicate that which one is actually selected, and we can definitely do that by giving it a little bit more items, meaning we can actually go ahead and perform a scale effect and all those kind of things. All right, so let's go ahead and add these things. So once now we select a particular item from the list, it will update our map and also going to a little bit indicate that which item is selected. It's much clearer now, since we're using the purple heart, is actually a little bit more clear that which item we're talking about. Now, one of the things that I haven't really researched that much is the animation speed over here. You can see that when I select one of these things, it kind of goes very fast. And if you have any ideas of how to slow it down, let me know in the comments or put a code in gist or something, and we can definitely check it out. Okay, the final thing is if I run the application again, you will see that we see this very big white space. Now, it would be a good idea to display some sort of an empty view or something. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. If the local search service dot landmarks is empty, or landmarks is empty, then in those cases, we can simply go ahead and display something. So there we go. Else, well, else this means that you have landmarks, so probably you should use the landmark list view to display those landmarks. Now let's go ahead and run it again. And now you can see that it shows you this nice small thing which is saying delicious places awaits you, but you can obviously change that. I'm just going to go ahead and search for burgers, and now I can go back to it. There we go. So we have created the complete application in SwiftUI, and it has services for local search service, a manager, which is location manager, which is going to give you the location and the landmarks. That's it. Make sure you can download the code. If you have any questions, you can ask in the comments. Share the videos, like the video. Thank you so much. If you like this video and want to support my channel, then the best way would be to check out my courses on Udemy. I have a lot of courses on Udemy which are for iOS development, including my brand new course for building augmented reality application. You can see a list of all of my courses in the YouTube link below, and enjoy those courses. Thank you so much, and I hope that you have enjoyed this video.